ToFunky coming to you live at Cafe 70 at the Museum of Uncut Funk. Today is going to be a hot one outside, so I thought I'd do a little cooking outdoors. Today I'm going to prepare smoked Cornish hens with an herb marinade. I'm also going to do roasted russet potatoes with garlic and rosemary and a little olive oil drizzled on them after they're done. And I'm going to do roasted string beans. So today we're going to get started with our Cornish hens. As you can see, I've already sliced one Cornish hen in half. This has already been washed. All of the insides have been removed. Some of the excess fat has been removed as well. So I'm going to take my knife. Now, yes, everyone has a different way of cutting Cornish hens, chickens, and so forth. Some people take the bone out, and then it makes it easier, cleaner cut. I personally like to keep the bone in because I think it adds more flavor during the smoking process. So I'm just going to start and cut down the middle of my Cornish hens and help my knife go through. Just that simple. I'm going to place it in my bowl. I'm going to remove this, put it in my sink. I'm going to give my Cornish hens one good rinse. And then, let me wash my hands. And then what I'm going to proceed to do is put my seasoning on. So what we have here is a mixture of dry seasonings. I have paprika, garlic, onion powder, and a barbecue blend. I'm going to add that to my Cornish hens. I'm just going to sprinkle it on, and then I will massage all of this in once I'm done. So those are my dry seasonings I'm adding. I have a half a cup of virgin olive oil I'm going to add to this as well. Help keep my Cornish hens nice and moist. Now, I am going to chop up some of my fresh herbs. I have rosemary, thyme, basil. I have some ginger and some garlic. So basically, I'm just going to take my rosemary and take it off the stem like this. And I'm going to leave it whole because I'm not going to cook this in the process. This is just going to marinate for about 2 hours in the refrigerator. And just to get that flavor infused into the Cornish hens. Now, it's probably best to take individual stems of thyme, and you're going to get all the little leaves off of the thyme stems, like that. Now, some people like a lot of thyme. It's not really necessary to put a lot of thyme on your marinade, but it depends on how much flavor you want to add. Now, I try to cook without adding salt because you'll find most of the dry seasonings, some of them do have added salt to them. So I'm only going to add one more stem of fresh thyme. And again, if you'd like to add more thyme, you can do so. I have here some fresh basil. I'm going to take that off of the stem. And I'm going to give that a nice chop. I love the flavor of basil, so I like to add it to my cooking, especially if I'm marinating something. You can just give this a rough chop, because then, again, this is not going to go on the grill. This is going to be a nice marinade. So you want to get all of those flavors in, especially, again, if you're not cooking with salt. Now I'm going to add a piece of ginger. This is the first time I'm using this, so hopefully this will work with me. Okay, so I'm adding some nice grated ginger, and I'm getting a lot of the ginger juice in here. And just scrape the back of your grater, and you'll get all of that ginger flavor in there. Now you can add as much ginger, again, or as little as you like, just to give it a nice robust flavor. And then I'm going to take my cloves of garlic, and as you know, I love garlic. So I have about 10 cloves of garlic that I'm just going to give a rough chop to. Take the back of your knife, palm of your hand, and mash them down. And just give them a nice rough chop, just like that. And again, this is not going to go on the grill. If there are pieces that go on the grill, they might burn, so you may want to remove them from the cooking or the smoking process. Again, this is just to go on the Cornish hens to give them a nice flavor. So I'm going to put all of that in there. And now the process begins. Don't be afraid to use your hands. You're just going to mix all of this up like that. Get all of that flavor in there. You're going to let this sit in your refrigerator for about an hour before you put it on your grill. And just remember, let all of that goodness soak in there. Take those basil, rosemary, get it into the meat, turn it over. Now you can put this in the fridge, and when we come back, we'll put this on the grill. Hi, we're outside at the grill. As you can see, I have my charcoal and my cherry wood on the grill. Now, yeah, it's a little bit high, but once I put the cover on, it will go down and the heat will reduce. Now, what I'm going to do is put my Cornish hens, as you can see, they've been marinating for a while. I let them sit out for about 15 minutes to get room temperature. And what I did was I put all of my ingredients inside of the Cornish hen. So what I'm going to do is actually put the skin down on the flame to let it get a nice sear, and then I'm going to move it over to the cooler side. Now you're probably asking, why don't I have a bigger grill to work with? I don't really believe it's the size of the grill that you work with, it's what you do to your food when you're on the grill that makes the most importance when you're grilling outside. So as you can see, my flame is starting to rise. Let these sit for a few minutes. Let these sit for a few minutes. Skin side down first. Put the rest of my Cornish hens out. And you know, there's no rhyme to reason as to why I like to put my food on direct flame. I actually like the taste of charcoal. I like for my food to get a nice sear. And then I move it to the cooler side. I'm going to put the top on, and I'm going to let these smoke for probably 3 hours. Okay, now I have one more Cornish hen to put on my flame. Once I move these over, I will put the last one down. Check them. Okay, that's got a nice sear to it. So I'm going to move this one over to the cooler side of the grill. I'm going to put my last Cornish hen down. Oh, that's got a nice sear. So I'm going to move that over. Now, again, what I like to do is let my Cornish hens be on the grill for about 3-4 hours. I'm going to come out and turn them in about an hour, turn them bone side down, and let them smoke. This is a great simple recipe if you like herb-infused food. This is the way to go with your Cornish hens. Hi, I'm back and I'm getting ready to prepare for you my herb and garlic and olive oil roasted potatoes. So what I have here in my bowl, I've taken some thyme and some rosemary and I chopped it up, a rough chop. I have 10 cloves of garlic, a quarter of a cup of olive oil, and yes, I'm going to use a little bit of sea salt just to bring out the flavor of the potatoes. So what I'm going to do is cut my potatoes. As you can see, I've already started. Cut my potatoes in 1-inch circular pieces. So I'm going to put these into my pan. I'm going to cut the ends off of the potato and just 1-inch pieces. And you know, there's no rhyme or reason as to why I want to use this cut. I think this cut cooks a little bit quicker. I'm having company this evening and I'm running a little behind schedule, so this is the cut that I'm choosing to work with today. So I've got my potatoes in here. I've got one more potato to cut. Let me just cut the ends off. And again, 1-inch pieces. And I told you earlier what I'm making is smoked Cornish hens, roasted herb and garlic potatoes, and I'm going to make roasted string beans. So now I've got all my potatoes into my pan. I'm going to add my olive oil, let that start to infuse, and then I'm going to do my garlic. So like I said, I have 10 cloves of garlic here. I'm just going to mash them and put a rough chop on them and let these cook down. And I tell you, there's nothing like roasted garlic in the oven. And I'm a huge fan of garlic, so the more the merrier. So I'm just going to put a rough chop on this. Just break the whole clove up into nice pieces so my guests don't get a whole piece of garlic in their mouth. Put this into my pan here. Move this over. Now let me rinse my hands off. And I'm going to add just a little bit of sea salt. About that much. You don't need a lot. Put the rest in the sink. And then yet again, we're going to take our hands and we are going to mix this up. Get all those herbs, all that rosemary, all that thyme, all that garlic into the potatoes. Now what I'm going to do is let this sit for about 10 minutes so this all gets infused, and then I will put it on my cookie sheet and put it into the oven. As you can see, my oven is on 350 degrees, so by the time these get in, they'll be nice and hot. So when we come back, I'll prepare my string beans to go on the grill for them to be roasted. Hi, we're back. I'm getting ready to take my Cornish hens off of the grill. As you can see, they have cooked quite nicely. So I'm going to put them on this tray, and then I'm going to let them rest until our string beans get done. Come on now. So those look fantastic. So now I'm going to take my brush off my grill. And what I'm going to do now is, I have this pan, or this grill tray, that I'm going to place on top of the grill. I put a little cooking oil on it. I'm going to let that get hot, and then I'm going to put my string beans on it. Now, I've added just a little bit of olive oil to the string beans, and then when they come off, I'm going to season them with a little salt and a little pepper. So I'm going to put these on. And I'm going to cover the grill so they can get roasted. Now I'm going to let these sit on the grill for about 10 minutes, and I'll come back out and check them to see how they're doing. Once they're nice and roasted, I'll take them off, and we'll get ready to plate our dinner. Hi, this is Sista ToFunky coming to you live at Cafe 70 at the Museum of UnCut Funk. As you can see, all of my dinner is ready and I'm going to plate. We have here our smoked Cornish hens, which actually look simply delicious, our herb and garlic roasted potatoes, and our roasted string beans that we did on the grill. So I'm getting ready to plate. I'm going to take one of my Cornish hens. Now I let these rest on this cookie sheet for about 15 minutes. They're nice and hot. I'm going to take a couple of potatoes. I love herb and garlic potatoes. As you can see, the garlic is nice and crunchy. I know for some food critics that might not be the way to go, but I actually like my garlic like that. And I have some roasted string beans. And I'll put those on my plate. I love roasted string beans. So I'm going to put those over here. And I'm going to sample some of this delicious food. This absolutely, oh, look how that just falls apart. That is delicious. At least it looks delicious. Mmm. That's like butter. It is absolutely delicious. Just melts in your mouth. Try some of the string beans. Mmm. They still have a nice crunch to them. I like the way those taste. And now for the potatoes. Mmm, perfect. Nice and creamy inside, a nice hard crust. Absolutely delicious. So I hope you enjoyed this cooking adventure with me today. I have fixed my own plate, although my guest will be arriving shortly. I'm going to put this to the side, get my table set, and enjoy my company. See you next time.